I'm like, there we go. Hey. All right.
Okay,
Do your thing.
let's hope Instagram likes us better than Facebook.
Let's
So
hope. Because
tell
if
you
they do, we
people,
might stay over here because I'm not about to do that again.
we've been on we've been trying to get it right with Facebook for the last 20 minutes. Let me just say that.
25 minutes.
Okay, 25 minutes. But hi, we're back for now. Welcome to the Tea with T and T. I'm one of your hosts, T Douglas, pronouns he, him, upstate New York. If you watch the show, you know the drill. This is my wonderful co-host.
Tamara Lee. Hello. I am Tamara Lee, the editor of Blackout Magazine, and this is CUTNT. We come to you in what we call our splash, where we give you just a little splash of tea. So we bring our topic to the community because we want to hear your voices. We want to hear what you think, what you got to say. And then we take all the things that y'all talked about and we go head over to record our podcast that you can find anywhere that you listen to podcasts that you love, including Apple Podcasts. So we want to have an open conversation. We want to hear what you got to say. We got to hear what you think so we can incorporate it because it's not just about our voices. It's about all of our voice collectively and individually. And I just want to say before we start, this is not a space to bash anyone. We're not here to attack Dominique. We're not here to attack the Ogre Project. And we don't allow that in this space. But it is a real conversation. And it's a conversation that's being had around the country. So we need to have it here as well. It might be a little bit of an in the house conversation. And so we wanted to have it in our house and bring y'all into the mix. So, like I said, we are not here to tear anybody down. So there will be none of that allowed in the premises. You will get booted out of the live like Facebook keeps booting us out. But we do want to have an open conversation because, like I was saying before we got disconnected, it's hard to be a part of this community and especially work in this community and not have touched LGBTQ nonprofit world. The LGBTQ nonprofit complex is a hell of a thing. And I don't know that before now I've ever heard anybody having conversations about it. So, if nothing else, this is bringing the conversation to light. And I think it's an important one. T and I have both had some very interesting experiences with LGBTQ nonprofit worlds. Um, and I think that you can't possibly be a part of that world without having some stories to tell. So we want to talk about it from that angle and what's going on with Dominique and her. I guess she didn't really get arrested. Her turning herself in and her taking a plea in her case with the Ochre Project that was brought in the city of New York. But let me just kind of catch you up on some facts, I guess, before we start the conversation and allow some more folks to join. So, if you have somehow been living under a rock and not paying attention, there has been whispers, I guess, about the very well-known activist and media personality Dominique Morgan for probably 2 or 3 years now in regards to a case where she was accused of taking money that was earmarked for assisting incarcerated trans women in the system, getting them bail, getting them assistance, getting them resources, using it for personal reasons. It's been said that she used it for surgery and for a car and for a closet enhancement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she has always maintained her innocence um, via her social media platforms. Up until recently, she hasn't really commented directly on the case, nor has Ogre Project, to be perfectly honest. However, there was all of a sudden some posts that she put up via her, at least TikTok, possibly Instagram too. I'm not sure. That
I seen
basically,
it to TikTok.
did you see it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw it on
TikTok.
TikTok. So I know that for a fact it's on TikTok. We have also been on Instagram and Facebook as well, because I know she has all the platforms. But it basically was alerting the community that she had, I don't want to misquote her, but basically that she had moved to Atlanta for some peace and a new start that she hadn't really been able to enjoy because this case was hanging over her head. There had been accusations against her. She had gotten into some, internet squabbles with some folks. And one of the things that they always kind of brought up was the fact that she had stole this money, and that she was getting locked up. And she wanted to get out from under the cloud of that by taking a plea. It had also been reported by several sources that they had offered her a plea multiple times for like six months, small amounts of money for the $100,000, nearly $100,000 she was accused of taking, and she refused and maintained her innocence. But then she, at the end of the day, decided to take this plea and would be out in 30 days or less. I think at the time she was saying like 24 days, which would have gotten us to May 28th, that she would be released. However, when that happened and she, for as far as we know, turned herself in for that 24, 26 days, whatever, outlets started coming forward to say no. If you look at the files, which I have also seen, I pulled up to look to see if it was accurate, said that she was not um her sentence was not 26, 24 days, but she would actually be sentenced after she turned in, was reprimanded or kept in jail, was not given bail, and that at the end of the 24 days, which like I said would be May 28th, she would see the judge again and actually be sentenced along with her plea deal. Now, as most of us know, a plea deal typically is reached prior to you turning yourself in, or before you going before the judge and being remanded. So one would imagine that she knew exactly what type of time she was getting prior to doing that, what she had agreed to and what the court had agreed to. She went in saying that it was 30 days or less. Other people have questioned whether that's actually true. The Okra Project did release a statement basically outlining, in my mind, that it wasn't their fault, that they didn't pursue the case, that New York City was pursuing the case, and they were just turning in the evidence requested of them and cooperating, as they have to as a 501c3. And they were transparent with their books. They turned over records. Dominique was asked to turn over records and was unable to substantiate where that $100,000 of expenses went, um, and agreed to take the plea. So that is kind of where we landed. There have been a myriad of folks that have since then had questions to ask and things to say and questions brought up. And hey Shay, and second guessing both statements by the Okra Project as well as Dominique Morgan, whether either one was being transparent, whether either one was being truthful, whether it was really 30 days, whether after the 30 days she's actually getting sentenced to a longer sentence because pleading guilty to taking, $99,000, 30 days sounds like not a lot, especially based on the way the criminal justice system does us, folks. And so we are basically in a holding pattern. Hope Giselle came out and made a statement, that in my mind, didn't really speak to an opinion on the situation, was more so highlighting the fact that there is institutional trauma and life trauma that causes people to behave in the ways they do for survival. India Moore came out and did a statement with Okra Project, which was very long, which honestly was along those same general lines, talking about trauma and how it colors people's behavior. But like a lot of what came out from community, which I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna say that's a surprise or not a surprise, was people standing in defense of Dominique, either saying she didn't do it or that if she did do it, like they've been stealing, they being nonprofits have been stealing from our community for years. So like, oh well. There has been a lot of free Dominiques out there from very prominent folks that represent community around the country. There have been a lot of friends of hers that have come forward and supported her. There have been a lot of very popular people who typically have a lot to say who have been somewhat
Quiet.
silent in this situation. There have been people that have been very critical of her that are community figures who then walked back their statements, which sounded like they were kind of their card got pulled offline to say, like, you know, how are you at another Black trans woman that way? So here we are. Here we are. And that is what we know. And the honest to God fact of the matter is, none of us are in those conversations. None of us in those meetings. None of us were at the Okra project, nor were we in Dominique's bag. So all we know is what has been said. And really, nobody will know anything until about
10 more days.
right. About a week and a half until the 28th comes, and she's either back on TikTok showing her face and doing her thing, or she's not. And so, yeah, that's where we are. So we want to know what you think. We want to know what you got to say. We want to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, because I feel like, you know, with nonprofits, there's often harm done in some way or another.
Hmm.
You know, whether it's by the nonprofit itself or by the people that work for the nonprofit, there's always some type of harm that's done to community, you know. Um, I feel like the Okra Project has kind of sent multiple messages, you know. I feel like they do take acknowledgement that something happened, right? And they also like support like legal consequences. They've shown support for legal consequences, but at the same time they also show like public sympathy as well. And I think that's kind of like where a lot of people are with the situation.
Isn't
um,
it also cheating though?
you said, is it what?
I said, isn't it also cheating though?
To not take a side, to stand in the
Yeah,
middle.
to ride the fence and not really to be critical and then walk it back is is that cheating?
You know, I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I think some people could look at it as cheating, and some people could look at it as, you know, maybe we're all human, you know, and we all make mistakes.
I
So
mean, what
I
I
feel
will
like,
say is this is a tough conversation. Like, it's even a tough conversation for us to have. And T and I have had a lot of conversations about it prior to this to just figure out how we wanted to approach it. Because, like I said, we don't know any better than anybody else what really happened. Like, that's between all parties involved and Jesus. So, you know, we can't pass judgment on anybody. But I do think it has brought up a lot of larger conversations um, that are being had at this point. And I know for me that when I have been a victim of LGBTQ nonprofit establishments. So I absolutely understand that part of it. I have, as has T, I had spent years working at an LGBTQ organization, nonprofit, that I spent the majority of my time trying to fix harm that had happened that had nothing to do with me. So I am acutely aware of the fact that it happens every single day. And a lot of that has to do with the structure, or lack thereof. It has to do with what leadership looks like and who they are. It has to do with what their personal relationship is to community. It has to do with how people are trained, or if they're trained, if they even know what they're doing, if their experience has gotten them in the door and they don't necessarily have the background to be able to back up their position. And why that's important, because also, you know, our experience as humans is what makes us a lot more qualified than necessarily having a degree. So, like, that's important too. So, it's so tough. But I think that the other hard part of this conversation is, while it is unquestionable that there's harm being done by organizations, LGBTQ and otherwise, by nonprofits. I think I read a stat somewhere that said like 65% of like white collar crime is happening in nonprofits because they are so unregulated. Um, but I think that the stumbling block for me, and also wanting to acknowledge that Black trans women are hunted in this country, and it is very difficult for them to get through and to live and exist and be successful because there are just societal, institutional barriers to that. And also the fact that there very well may have been community members that got harmed by this money not being where it was supposed to be. However, it disappeared. Um,
And I think I'm gonna say for me, that's probably the most critical point. Um, because if this money is supposed to be used to get Black trans people out of incarceration and help them to, rebuild and restructure their lives, that means that there are Black trans people that have not been helped and that are still in jail and that I have to, bear what they have to bear because they did not get the money that was for them. So I think for me, like that's the most harmful part.
yeah,
You know, I
definitely.
and like yes, and then I also think about like everybody's human, everybody makes mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We all have flaws and faults. Um, and I think everybody can be rehabilitated. And, for me, the only people who can't be rehabilitated is people who do sex crimes and rapists. Castrate them. Sorry, but
On that note,
like, no, I'm serious. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's not a blackout opinion. That's a T. Douglas opinion. um, so I feel like we all human. We all make mistakes. We can all be rehabilitated in some way. Besides those folks. Uh, So I mean, I think it is like kind of like a double-edged sword because like as a leader, you weren't looking out for the interests of your community, but also, you have been, I'm sure, harmed by society. I can't even I don't know how, because I don't know your life, but I can guarantee in some way, shape, or form you have been because we all have. Um, so I'm like, I can understand the mixed feelings and like mixed emotions from a lot of people, you know. So yeah, I
I'm
get it.
just honestly, I guess I'm honestly more surprised to have not heard more of that. Like, I think, so, like, God forbid, but like, say it was you. I could come forward and say, that's my friend. That's my dog. That's somebody I work with. That's somebody who showed me kindness and took care of me and been there for me when I needed it. That is somebody who I've seen do amazing things, who has brought resources and has contributed to community and all of the things. And also, this was fucked up. And, you know, it was a poor choice. That doesn't take away from who this person is that I know and have dealt with, but I can't, because I have seen the best of him does not mean that I would dismiss the other things that happened because other people were harmed. I mean, I think it's kind of like a relationship, right? Like you get into a relationship with somebody who does a lot of harm to you, causes you a lot of pain, a lot of harm, just does some fucked up shit. And you have all these mutual friends, right? And then at the end of the day, when the pieces fall where they may, they're like, oh, well, he didn't do that to her, or she didn't do that to her, or he didn't do that to him because he's my friend. He would never do that. What the fuck? You don't know what these people would do behind closed doors, and you just because you had a good experience with somebody doesn't mean that they didn't cause me harm. And so, what are you gonna do with that? Like, you then tell me I'm a liar, or you then say that person shouldn't have consequence because that hasn't been your experience with them. Like, that's a rough space to live in. And I think that you're right. Like, I think that if we were talking about someone who, tapped into the building fund, I think that's a different conversation than, moving money that was supposed to
Be for
be
community.
for community and helping trans people especially be safe in a situation where they are probably the least safe in this country. Um, because you're at the complete hands of the people that are holding you in. Once you are a part of that industrial complex, it is very difficult to get out, and there are not a lot of safeguards or rules and regulations to protect anybody. And trans folks are typically the most vulnerable in any situation. So if it's dangerous for everybody, it's going to be 5 times more dangerous. So I have to say that it surprises me that more people aren't talking about that, with respect to the fact that this is a person who's your friend and who has done really good work. You could do some really good things and do some really fucked up things. Just like you could be really nice to some people and still be a terrible fucking person. Like I don't think they're mutually exclusive. And I'm slightly surprised I haven't heard more people have that conversation. But I heard an interesting thing the other day about somebody talking. I don't know if it was about this situation or something else, but like there's a like this idea of like in community, not like canceling people or like casting them out, like calling people in opposed to like calling them out. But there has to be a mechanism for that to work. This is what this person was saying. There has to be a mechanism for that to work. Like it can't be like, we're not going to cast this person out because they made a mistake and just let them rock.
Mm-mm.
Like there has to be a system in place that both the community respects and the individual respects, that exact some kind of accountability just internally. And I don't know that we have that. I don't know that there's enough unity in individual like cities, communities, organizational communities, or our larger Black community, our larger LGBT. I don't know that that exists. So like the concept is great, and I absolutely agree. We should be able to call in community members and not throw people away. But if that doesn't happen either, then what? And how are we keeping people safe without either?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has to be like some type of accountability. You can't just say like, "Hey, this person did this wrong thing," and harm these people, but because they're still a part of community, like just let them rock. You know, that because that's not helping. It's not. It's basically enabling the person who does the wrong thing in my eyes, um, because it's like, oh, I did this thing, I got caught for doing this thing, but the people still rock with me after I did this thing, and all I have to be like, oh, I apologize. But there's no actual like what comes after the apology? Like, what are you doing to make that situation better for the people that you harmed? And that's what I feel like we should be looking into, because there's so many situations that I think, where community harms other community, and then it becomes, for me, what I see is like a popularity contest,
Yeah.
you know. So you harm this person, but you might have more followers, or you might be more bigger in community than this person. And then it's just like, oh, let me toss it under the rug because you are this person that you are. And then I think that makes the person in their mind feel a little bit untouchable.
Yeah.
So
And
what stopped
and
them
it,
from
and
doing
it's
it again?
right. And this isn't specifically Dominique. This is just in general for the conversation. But like it also it it then makes other people feel like what happened to them is unimportant or less important. The idea of like not tarnishing somebody's reputation, not speaking down on somebody in the community, and so people are expected to just kind of eat it. Um, and like, then what is that saying to those people in community? Like, I think that's a lot of the reason why we lose people in community, because I mean, how safe do you then feel in that environment if the harm that got done to you is not acknowledged for whatever reason? To not throw somebody under the bus, to not hurt the reputation, to not to get them locked up. Like, I personally know somebody who stole a whole bunch of money from an organization, and she is still chilling. They still have her leadership positions. They still have her in ballroom doing her thug dizzle. They still, she is still supposed to be looked at as an authority in that scenario because the people from that original organization didn't want to put a trans woman of color in jail. And I respect that. However, this person now still sits in a place of power and has access to other organizations' money.
Mm.
So then what? And she's like a demon, and she's still chilling. So like, what do we do in those scenarios? Like at that point, like what do we do?
Listen,
You know, you would laugh. Don't try to hold it in. It's the truth. Like, it's the truth.
listen. I'm telling you, it's a structure. I I think people. I think everybody should be held accountable for wrongdoing, especially if they harm somebody else. Um, and I also think that there should be some type of rehabilitation process. So, like, maybe if you stole this money, you got to pay this money back,
Yeah.
and you have to acknowledge that you stole
I
it.
think I want to say that from what I want to say maybe I saw on the Okra project that there is restitution involved. It's like 30 days of restitution, which, I don't know if that I guess it depends on how you feel and what you think if that is enough repair. Like if the money gets paid back. And like I said, this is a conversation about Dominique, but it's also a microcosm of things that are happening all over the country with all kinds of people. So in just a general sense, like is the repair then paying back the loss? Or is that enough? Like if you sold somebody's car and then buy them a new car, is that reparations? Like is that enough repair? Like is that suitable? Is that enough?
I mean, I think it's really a case by case basis. I don't think that you would be able to like yes, a standard for like theft should be repayment, but also like what who are the people that were harmed when you stole? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's like you stole something from a bank.
They got insurance, so that
Yeah,
money's
right,
probably coming
exactly.
back.
So, okay, maybe it's just repayment at that point. But like you stole something and then somebody else was harmed, like I feel like, you know, sometimes I feel like, it may be a question of the people who are harmed. How do they feel like, repayment should be made?
I think
Or
it's
like
also
is
a
there
question which
community
I
service? Or like
I also
like what
I
is it?
also think it's a question which I don't know that I've heard anybody say, but like where were the safeguards in that agency? Like, are those people going to be held accountable? Because actually, like, I just stepped down from a board because I was concerned about how money was moving and how things were happening. And I know from working with boards that you can be held responsible if wonky stuff happens inside an agency because your job as a board is to be overseeing. Now, to my understanding from the Okra Project statement, they weren't official 501c3 yet. And so they may not have had a board, but like somebody had to be in charge of something. Like
So you
some
had a you if you're not official organization yet and you getting money from somewhere, then you had to have like a fiscal sponsor. So like I'm sure they got a board.
fair. That is also fair. So like, is there going to be repercussions for the people who weren't paying attention? And does that then make it more fair? Like if Dominique gets punished and then whomever was in leadership at the time gets punished, is it fair then?
When it comes to fairness, I truly believe you have to talk to the people who were harmed. That's just me.
Well,
Like,
see, but
'cause I,
even in that's hard with this case though, because from what I read, it looks like they were just not real people. Like they were receipts for made up people. So it 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 was harm because real people weren't getting help, but it wasn't necessarily like you know, I'm sitting there waiting to get out, and now I didn't get
So,
out.
but I'm sure there are people who are in there waiting to get out and who could have been gotten out. So I mean, even if like as a hypothetical thing, you talk to people who were formerly incarcerated who have gotten out, or you talk to people who are still incarcerated who look forward to getting out or have chances of getting out, and come
It's
up
just
with
so
something.
crazy because one would think that with all that, I mean, like for a long time we didn't have the privilege of having elders, right? We lost so many people to the HIV epidemic. So many Black folks in general have just not been in the position to make it to old age because of health reasons, poverty, all the social determinants of health. Black trans folks are murdered in this country at a tremendous and alarming rate. And so for all of these different societal reasons, like we didn't really have elders like that. Like you don't know 100 elder trans folks. Like if you have a relationship with one or two, like you're lucky because they either aren't out and about in community anymore, they no longer are with us, um, or they are living stealth because they can. And but one would think with all of the elders that we now have the blessing, like when this major passed, that was one of the things that I said, that it was like her life was such a blessing because she lived into old age and she died in a comfortable place surrounded by people who loved her and people who respected her contribution and knew what she meant to the movement, whatever. Like that's, we should all aspire to pass that way someday. And it was a blessing, like a gift that she gave us to see that that it could happen like that. But it's unfortunate that we have all these damn elders now, and still there doesn't seem to be like a collection of folks that are coming together with wisdom to be able to call folks in and, you know, tap them on their shoulder. Like it would be nice if we had those people to
Yeah,
be like, okay,
we need
sis.
like you know how like in the movies with the gods how they got the panel.
Yes, exactly.
They're like,
Exactly. Like I think it was in
this is
Wakanda.
what y'all
Did
need to
that happen
do.
in Wakanda? Where there was like a
Yeah,
thing of the
yeah.
elders where you had to like go in front of the
Hey,
tribunal of elders.
we need them. We need them now.
We need them.
Put together an elder panel, y'all, because we need y'all to regulate the stuff that's going on. I got a
I
few
know,
elders I
Shay.
can recommend.
That means they also have to have enough sense to be able to share some like legitimate wisdom too. And
I got. Listen, how big the panel gotta be? Because I got three
it's
good.
going to be real big.
I
It's
got
going to be
three
real
good.
big.
I got three good elders I could add right now. I'm gonna tell y'all. So y'all send me some elders, and so we can get this thing moving. Cause I got a couple in New York and one down south. So I mean, I'm three right now. Three trans elders that I can tap into. I'm
Because I
blessed.
mean, I done ran into a couple of people in the last 3 days that should be elders and are doing silly things. So like that's
I
tough.
don't know. I'm just like I so me like yeah I know I be traveling places and doing things, and when I go to these places and these conferences, I look for elders. That's like my
Yeah.
place. I look for elders so I could go meet them, talk to them. You know what I'm saying? Tap into a little bit of their wisdom. I listen in my years so far. I'm telling you, I've only met three. I got three that I can, have a great relationship with. So I'm blessed to be, always in their presence whenever
It's
I'm.
grounding. When you find
It
those people in
is.
your life, it's extremely grounding. It's
It is.
important.
It is.
It's important. All right. So we got some people in the room. Does anybody have anything to add? Any thoughts about the situation?
Why I
About
can't
the
see the
specific
people in the
situation
room?
with Dominique and the Ogre Project, or just in general with like, the things
Oh,
happening and the conversations this is bringing up?
wait. You can see the people in the room.
Yeah.
Why I can't see the people in the room?
I don't know.
See, I
But it's
don't
people
like.
in the room.
It's the Instagram thing. Instagram don't let me see the people in the room. Only Facebook.
That's why we usually on Facebook, but Facebook wasn't playing fair today, so here we are.
I can't see the comments neither.
You can't see the comments. Oh, I can see the comments. I'll have to read them to you if we get
Yeah, you
some
gonna have to read them if
or
we
get
get
some
to.
more.
They asked.
All
They
right.
like. I think I'm just a guest right now.
Uh, oh, okay. So yeah, so like I said, with our splash, we don't stay in here long. We just really bring the conversation to the community, so y'all can chime in. So
We've been in here like a
give y'all a
half an
few more
hour.
minutes to say your piece, and then we gonna take it over to record the podcast.
I feel like we've been in here for like an hour.
Swear to God. Well, we also were trying to be on the other one for like 30 hours, so it may feel like it's longer.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, while yeah, because on the podcast we gotta catch up for the last 2 months with the people before we even go into the conversation. So
Literally.
you
All
know,
right, y'all. Last call. Anybody got anything to add? Y'all got a lot to say
anybody,
in y'all comments, but nobody wants to talk in the live.
anybody but a dead body.
Dang.
I mean, yeah, I don't like to talk to ghosts, so I'm just saying.
You seeing dead people.
Who me?
Yeah.
Um, you know, some days.
All right. It looked like don't nobody got anything to add. So I guess y'all will have to catch us on the podcast and see what we came up with.
All right. I mean, I heard a couple comments, but I don't think the people wanna say them, so I just mention them anonymously um when we go to the podcast.
All right, y'all. Make sure y'all catch the podcast. We'll be up tomorrow. Oh, wait, over here getting drunk, so no comments. All right. Well, there you go. I guess we started too late because the party already started.
What you mean?
Um,
Oh,
Shay said I'm over here getting drunk, so no comments.
whoop. Hey, it'd be like that sometimes.
Be like that. So if y'all didn't have anything to say here, we would love for y'all to make your way over to Apple Podcasts. We'll put up the link on all the pages tomorrow morning so y'all can go see what we came up with and what we said. And then if you didn't want to comment here, you are welcome to comment either on social media, on the links, or on the podcast itself on Apple Music. But thank you for tuning in.